Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, I wanted to talk really briefly about something, and try to talk briefly about something before I have to run out tonight. And I watched a couple of videos today that made me smile. I actually watched a few things today that made me smile, but just two of them were about this subject. I watched this video. I think I watched it today. It's a climax of Critical Role. It's a Matthew Colville video talking about Critical Role. Critical Role is not something I watched, but he talked about something that happened in the climax, the end, episode, the battle with the big bad evil guy. If you're a Critical Role fan and haven't watched that video, well, I mean, don't watch this. I'm going to spoil it for you. You know. And there was another video actually about embracing failure by Roll for Initiative. Dawn talked about that, which, so they kind of matched each other. So, because what happens in this Critical Role game, as far as I understand, going from what Matthew's told us, is that the party is fighting the big bad evil guy. This is the climax of the entire 3 or whatever year campaign, and so it's this big giant epic battle. That's what they do, and one of the players, one of the player characters, has died, and they've died prior to this. They've been brought back, resurrected by a god, and a very common fantasy trope. The idea is you can remain on Earth, and because your mission for me is to kill this big bad evil guy. I'm down with that, and when it's done, though, I will come back for you. And so it's like, well done, my good and faithful servant. All right, I'm taking to Valhalla. That's it. You're done. So one of the players, friends with the player of that character in real life, has decided, already talked to the game master. My idea is this. They're all high level, so he has a 9th level spell slot. He's going to memorize or have wish as a spell. His idea is like, when that moment comes, and we're going to kill the big bad evil guy, hopefully, and then when the god comes back from my friend, I will use wish and be able to snatch him from the jaws of permanent death. So, but what actually happens in the game is there's this moment where the big bad evil guy is going to teleport away. It's a 7th level spell, apparently, and this guy with that spell slot can cast Counterspell. He can just kind of free cast that, but he has to cast that at 2 spells higher in order to have a sure thing that he can't let this guy teleport away. The battle's going on for quite some time. This could be a real bummer. So he just asks, is this really worth it? And finally blows his 9th level spell slot, no longer is able to cast wish, and prevents the big bad evil guy from teleporting away. Party is victorious, but there's tragedy involved, because the character that he was hoping to save his friend from the jaws of death, well, he gets taken back by the god, and that's it. That's the last they ever see of him. And to me, if you make stuff like that up prior to we were going to have this arc and there's going to be this tragic ending, it cheapens it. Now, this is just me. If that's your thing, that's okay. But to me, you can't make this stuff up. When it happens, I'm not saying I like to fail, but that makes events like that really real. It makes them really, as for a fictional hobby, it makes them really touching. It makes them, that makes, to me, those are those moments that make the game worth it. Where it's a little heartrending or whatever, however you want to say it. That is cool, and I've enjoyed moments in game like that. I remember I used to watch Bob Ross paint, the guy with the big huge hair. I was talking about the happy little tree, happy little this. There was another guy that was on that same show, and I can't remember who it was. The guy had some sort of accent, and he always used to say, you cannot, you have to have dark. He's putting all these dark areas in the painting. He says, you have to have dark, because without dark, you cannot show light. It was very entertaining, very cute, the way he said it. Same thing with failure and success. Success doesn't mean anything to me. It becomes cheap and meaningless unless there's failure as well. And to me, they both are a little bit meaningless if you make them up and say this is when they're going to happen. To me, it's a lot more meaningful when it happens as a result of your actions, as a result of dice rolls, whatever. So, as Dawn was talking about, embracing failure it's a big topic. I don't want to go into the whole topic of that because I've talked about this before. I'm actually want to make some kind of video in the near future talking about like percentage chances of success and whatnot, what that looks like, how that feels, because I've been talking to a bunch of people about this, like a little group of us have been talking about all kinds of things related to competency and whatnot, the psychological impact and the marketing impact and all kinds of stuff. But and how you narrate it too makes a big difference. See, it's a huge convoluted topic, and I've already started to digress. But the idea that there's times nobody wants to fail, nobody wants their character to fail, but there's times when a failure makes the game more meaningful. There's times when you don't get what you want, and you have to regroup and figure out, what am I going to do here? And to me, that makes game sessions interesting. It's one of those big things that makes game sessions interesting, if I can talk, is those moments when you thought you were going to, be able to do something, and you fail, and you have to turn in a different direction and do something else. If I hadn't fallen down, the wall while I was trying to climb it, would something have happened instead? If I hadn't botched this one roll while I'm wrestling with this spy for her weapons, would she have been able to, kill herself, and I wouldn't be able to find out would I have been able to find out what's happened? What would happen then? But that's not what happened. What happened was I botched that roll. My character was slipped and was unable to prevent them from committing suicide right in front of me. Those moments make the games interesting. So I'm all down for embracing failure, and I'm all I enjoyed watching Matthew's video because I those moments like that make role playing worth it. One of the moments like that. There are other parts that make it worth it too, but to me that makes things real. Those are those moments of dark that enable the moments of light to be much brighter. What about you? What do you think about all that?